Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of our series History of English Literature. And today we will be talking about Old English period and primarily the Anglo Saxon literature. Anglo Saxon period in Britain spans approximately the 6 centuries, that is from 499 to 1066 AD. England has been invaded and occupied a bunch of times. As far as we know, the first inhabitants of the area were people called Britons, but in 55 BC, Romans repeatedly tried to invade Britain. They were the most dominant military force of that time and they invaded England in 43 AD. And after that, Celts and Romans had peaceful coexistence, and because of that, Roman-British culture sprang up. Romans ruled the area for around 500 years. When Romans left Britain, the Germanic-speaking Anglo Saxons and Jews began to arrive. Vikings also invaded Britain and they also tried to settle. Eventually, the Kingdom of Wessex won, uniting the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms and driving out the Vikings. And the Kingdom of England was established in about 1000 AD. This wasn't long before they were invaded again though. The Normans from northern France invaded and conquered England in 1066 and they spoke a form of French. Talking about the religion at that time, people were pagan mainly then. But it was Saint Augustine who is considered to be the founder of English Church and the monk who brought Christianity in England and converted pagans into Christians. He became the first Archbishop of Canterbury in the year 597. So pagan is used to describe someone who doesn't go to synagogue, church or mosque. It could be that they worship several gods at once or they have no interest in a god at all. Old English tongue was not really English of current times. It was mostly a Germanic tongue and there was hardly any resemblance with modern English. And for the same reason, the text had to be translated into modern English language to make sense or for it to be put under any kind of literary scrutiny. There was no printing press at that time, so most of the work was oral in nature. Only a handful of written works have survived. The main subject matter of that time was heroic and religion. Now, let's discuss important works of Anglo-Saxon age. The first work that we are going to discuss is Beowulf. It is an Old English epic poem and also one of the most important and frequently translated Old English work. And the most famous translation is done by Seamus Heaney and it was published in the year 1999. This poem consists of 3182 alliterative lines and this poem is anonymous, that is authorship is unknown, that we don't know who has written this poem, and it is set in pagan Scandinavia in the 6th century. Nothing is known about the authors of the famous poems like The Seafarer, The Wanderer and The Wife's Lament. And all these poems survive in the extra book, a manuscript of Anglo-Saxon poems produced by a single scribe around 950 AD. In addition to these and other secular poems, the extra book contains religious verse, nearly 100 riddles, and a heroic narrative. It is the largest collection of Old English poems in existence. There were certain writers that we know by the name, and one of those are Venerable Bede. He is also known as the father of English learning. The work most important to us is the Ecclesiastical History of English People And in this work, he talks about history of Christian churches in England and of England in general. It is one of the most important original reference on Anglo Saxon history and has played a key role in the development of an English national identity. Hence, it justifies the title that he has got, that is Father of English Learning. And in this work, Venerable Bede mentioned the name of first writer Caedmon. Caedmon is the first poet whom we can give a definite name and date. Next poet that we are going to talk about is Steinwolf, and he was the first person who signed his own works. That is, he used to write his name under his poems. And some of his famous poems are The Christ, Fates of Apostles, Eileen, and Juliana. Apart from being a great ruler, King Alfred the Great did some literary contributions as well. And he is famously known for his translations. And some of his famous works are Bede's History, Soliloquies of St. Augustine, and Pastoral Care. Anglo-Saxon rule came to an end in 1066, and a new era was ushered in, that was Anglo-Norman era, that we'll discuss.